You guys are snob.
No, we're not.
No, seriously, you're totally elitist. You feel like the unappreciated scholars, so you shit on the people who know less than you. No, which is everybody.
Yeah.
It's just sad.
Sam's going on this journey right now, right?
Shut
he's
up.
like playing games that are good games. He's like, whoa, dude,
No.
this game is good. Like, he
Okay.
called me the other day, right? And he's like, bro, I just played this game called Journey.
Shut up.
It's the most spiritual game
Oh my
I've ever
god.
played.
Okay.
Ever.
I had, of course, heard of Journey. I hadn't picked it up, right? And I was like, okay, I'll play Journey. Like, you know, let's play Journey. I was pretty like, holy shit, this is one of the best games ever. And I did say something along the lines of, it's very spiritually, like, charged.
No, the exact quote was, it's the most spiritual game
No, I didn't say
I've
that.
ever
That's fake news.
played.
That's fake news. Anyway, guys, there's another game that I did play that I have played actually years ago, but they've remastered it. And we're, of course, talking about Natu jokes. Shadow of the Colossus, and Jesus Christ, what a fucking game. Like, fuck.
Thank you very much, Sam, for demonetizing our video with your heinous language.
My pleasure. Heinous or anus?
That's the standard of humor you can expect from Laymen Gaming, ladies and gentlemen. Top notch, top shelf sort of stuff right
Top
there.
shelf.
So, Shadow of the Colossus is about to be re-released on PlayStation 4. It's the second time the game has been remastered. It was available originally on PS2, then they made it available on PS3, now they're making it available on PS4. I mean, come on! Lazy devs, always remastering their old shit so
Yeah.
that we can enjoy a classic masterpiece in 4K
I know.
resolution, 60 FPS.
I think we should just call it, like, Shadow of the Skyrim.
We
I
really
think
should.
That would be the best name, because there's no other game that's been remastered more than Skyrim. Like,
It's true.
literally.
So, for anyone that hasn't played Shadow of the Colossus, Sam, tell them what is Shadow of the Colossus.
Okay, it's very similar. I know it came out before, but it's very similar, in my opinion, to Breath of the Wild. In terms of there's a huge open world that you just traverse. You don't like that? What? It's true.
No,
Screw
go on.
you.
I'm interested to hear this comparison. Go on.
Okay, you've agreed that there's comparisons there.
There's some similarities,
Thank
but I
you.
wouldn't say, what's it like? It's like Breath of the
No,
Wild.
in terms of just what I'm getting at first is the main experience that I think you have before the bosses is you just are experiencing a very calm world. You're walking through it. There's a little bit of wildlife here, and there's more wildlife in Breath of the Wild. But you're ultimately, you know, just experiencing a very calm world. And then the bosses themselves are something that I've never ever seen before, and I don't think you'll ever see again. Where, like, how do you explain it? So, what are these creatures? What are these huge, giant things that you got to climb on? You feel like they're like part of the earth or something, and they've just kind of come out of the middle of the core or something, and they've been there for, you know, millennia. You know, like, it feels very. It's just awesome.
Would you say it's spiritual?
Oh,
Sam?
shut up! I knew you were gonna drop that. I knew it.
It's a game about killing bosses, okay? You're wandering
Very
around this-
similar to Monster Hunter.
it's basically the Dark Souls of Monster Hunters.
Yes.
Okay, that's what Shadow of the Colossus is.
Yes, of course.
It's a game where you have this big open world, as Sam said. It's very quiet, peaceful. You got to find your way to the next boss. That usually only takes a few minutes. Then you're at the boss. It's time to kill them. It's basically a puzzle-solving exercise when you kill these bosses.
It's very true,
Because
actually.
they have weaknesses that you need to find. You need to interact with your environment and them. And you basically need to climb them. You need to mount them. Sam, you need to mount them.
I like the good
in
old
this
mountain.
game.
The
And
thing
then-
is, I was just going to say quickly, you're right. Like, when you first look at it, you think it's just, you know, a killing boss game or whatever. But you're right. It is very much a puzzle game. It's identifying on those huge monsters, like, where am I climbing up? What am I holding on to at certain points? Where am I attacking? What's the strategy? You know, there's always a strategy to a boss fight, but it's not your normal boss fight, because the boss itself is actually part of a maze that you must work your way through.
Exactly.
You
So,
know?
and they're absolutely huge. Some of the footage that you'll be seeing on screen here just shows you the epic scale of these bosses. The largest bosses that I've ever fought in a game outside of maybe Bayonetta. I'm trying to think of anything larger I fought, but
I mean, Metal Gear, but like even then it's not big enough.
no, these are like a lot bigger than
Yeah.
Metal Gear. But yeah, it's just this feeling of scale that you get playing this game. The world is huge, the monsters are huge, the colossi, and then you just feel so insignificant. And the ultimate goal is to bring down these things, and you feel like, and the beauty of this game is it feels sad. Because
Yeah, I
you
know what you
don't
mean.
feel like these things should die. You feel really guilty at the end of it when you kill them, because they're just doing their thing. They're just these big, beautiful colossi, but it's your job to end them.
I
know?
agree.
So that's part of it's like a melancholy game as you're playing it, and that I think is the feeling that you get walking away from this. There's this like beauty, but there's this sadness to it as well.
Yeah.
That I think you remember long after you finish it.
I agree with that. Like, you do feel like they're just existing in this world. They're not really harming anyone in that moment until they start attacking you, of course. But yeah, it feels like there's this huge beast in the wilderness that, you know, is just existing, and it's almost like you're taking a rifle and killing it for no reason. It feels like that.
I need tusks on my wall, bitch.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna hunt things for sport, I guess.
Sport.
It's not actually hunting for sport in this. There is a story behind it. There's a reason why you're doing this stuff.
It's a very weak story, but
the world
it's
is
not
the story.
The thing is, right, if it's not weak because it's put together in such a way that it's the story is sprinkled over. It's like, look, this is it's sprinkled over. Like, this is what you roughly have to do, you know? Salt guy, whatever his name is.
Just to summarize, this game is absolutely phenomenal. It's one of the greatest games ever made, unquestionably. It's in certainly the top 20 games of all time, maybe top 10, depending on your preference. It's just an absolute masterpiece by any metric. And it's actually only $50 as well, because it's a remaster. As in half the normal price that you would pay in your country. That's what this is going to be.
I like that.
I think that's good.
They don't have to do that, you know. Modern Warfare 2 came out again, and it was like, hey, buy this full price game. It's like, it leaves a bad taste.
No, they only sold Modern Warfare 2 with Advanced Warfare.
Oh, okay.
So and then they sold it like basically full price when they released standalone like a year later.
That's what I mean.
With the DLC, by the way. Love you, Activision. But my question is, you know, we talked about it briefly before. Is it good that a company like Sony is remastering stuff, or is it a case of they should just be putting all their effort into the new stuff?
Look, I think there's two ways of looking at it. Number one, you have to honor the art of, you know, games that have become part of the Hall of Fame of games.
It's true.
I think you need to remaster certain games to allow people that are younger or haven't played those games for X, Y, and Z reasons to experience that. I think it's really important. Number two, I mean, the other side of it is, of course, well, there are people that are saying, well, instead of putting all your efforts into that, instead of doing a remastered version, just release the same game with the same graphics onto the platform, reduce the actual costs of development, and then make sure you're making new games or something. I mean, maybe there's an argument for that.
But the key difference with this is, as a remaster, the fact that it's in 4K 60 FPS actually changes the experience. There are other remasters that I played where it's basically the same thing, okay? It's like, it looks slightly better, same game, whatever, okay? It's like if you were to remaster The Last of Us, it wouldn't actually make that much of a difference because it already looks pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's about the story, it's about the characters, okay? But with something like Shadow of the Colossus, it's about the visual beauty of the world and the creatures, and it's about like you being able to look into their eyes as you're killing them. And that level of detail, that level of visual fidelity actually changes the experience in a way that I didn't expect. I really thought, hey, cool, same game as before. Now that I've played it and seen it at that resolution, I honestly feel different about the game than I did before because I'm able to appreciate it more deeply. And that is a big deal in the context of a remaster.
And would you say it's based purely on the graphics that have been brought up to such a standard where you feel more empathy for those creatures?
Yeah, because it's not about the graphics, it's about the underlying design of those creatures in that world is so strong. The art design, that the higher fidelity lets that come through more. You know, it's sort of like if they were to remaster The Last of Us and then have better facial animations, there's something in that. Maybe that could be really good. But if it was just like, you know, Joel's clothes have more like stitching in them, it'd be like, who cares? It doesn't make any difference. This is different though. This is a different experience because of how it looks, you know?
Yeah, I think you're right, because it brings them more alive and it makes them look even more like sentient beings.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
know, because you're right, you can see so much going on, the hair, you know, moving around, and the eyes looking around. You're right, it does bring it more to life. Most games, if like when Final Fantasy VII gets remastered, yes, the combat will be different. Will the story be fundamentally different? I hope not. Like I hope not. I hope not. You know, I think it's going to be very.
Eris lives. Really,
Eris lives. Lol.
She's downloadable DLC. You can buy the Eris Lives DLC pack for $7.99.
It's not gonna happen.
Totally.
You're right in saying this is why those type of games need to be remastered, just like the Ocarina of Time. When the time comes and they do a remastered, you know, in a completely in an Unreal Engine. I know I've seen them on YouTube. I'm sure a lot of other people have seen it. that would completely change the way that you look at that world.
True.
Probably wouldn't change the story, of course, but it would change the way that you interact with the temples and the world and the bosses and everything, because you're just experiencing it in such higher detail. Totally. So I think it's a good idea to remaster some games, not all games.
It's true.
Not all games.
Skyrim, that's enough, okay? Stop it.
Yeah, no more. We probably don't need a. We definitely don't need a Halo 2 remaster. Ooh. Oh wait, they've already done that. Fuck! I keep doing that.
Oh my god.
I keep doing that. If whoever watches our stuff, I've done that like 7 times.
I'm now taking applications for a co-host
Oh
on
my God.
Laymen Gaming. Some game knowledge required.
No.
Just like a little bit.
A little bit. Knack 2, baby.